Includes that lot out there too. Team Kāwhia old here. Thank you. Now with a slight change in the agenda, we will advise you now that we are moving to the public forum. Jeanette, you have the floor, so welcome.
Firstly, thank you very much for allowing us to sort of come back and to talk to you for a second time. I'm going to assume that you've all read the paper.
The board members have read the paper.
So the timing of this is really important because the designer that we've identified, and you've probably seen some of his work would be here. There's a time factor in this. This is why we've come right now. That the weather is actually holding at the moment, so it's a good time for him to come to Kāwhia and to really look to see at the public spaces that are the council spaces that are there. And also, he has a bit of a gap at the moment to be able to do something. He had a family tragedy last year, so he's still sort of building up his work again at the moment. So we know that we can get him quite quickly. I've offered him accommodation in my boathouse, so there's no cost in terms of that. But timing is everything, and so that's why we'd really love to get a decision as soon as possible. Very happy to answer any questions, although I think the paper probably takes you through pretty well everything, and the boards that we've mocked up here give you an idea of the sort of equipment, the sort of fitness stations that we're talking about. So they're simple, they're timber and stainless steel, no big high structures, things that will tuck in quite neatly. And the reason why it's so important for us to have Russ is when I met with Jared Fleming from the council and also Nadia Gower, we have to go back to them for approval, but we have kept them in touch with what we're doing. And Jared was really clear that the best pathway for us to go on was to, in fact, get a professional designer to do all the specifications. We're very fortunate that Waikeria Prison have said that they will do the construction. We will have to do fundraising to get the materials, but Lars will do all the calculations of how much we need of timber, stainless steel, etc. So thank you, Jeff, for your part in this.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions? Jeanette and Galen?
I just had a quick look at the thing. I couldn't figure out where you've got the map there, but I couldn't figure out where the...
No, we haven't, that's part of what Lars is doing as well for us.
Oh, okay.
Suggesting
the actual final sizing of each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did actually work out 5 circuits, an easy one, a more difficult one, and one for the really fit, because we want it for all abilities, different ages, not just 20, 30-year-olds and teenagers. We want it for people like myself and at older age to be able to do it and to come into it at different parts of Kāwhia. So it's not something that will be clumped in one space. It will be something that we're looking to have all the way around. The boards, which say give an idea of the activities that you can do at each station, will have 3 levels of difficulty. And also, we're looking to have them in English and Te Reo Māori. That's what we'd like. Taranaki Regional Council have been amazing in terms of giving access to the boards that they already have done with the ETI. Not the boards themselves, but all the text. But we would have to be getting the translations done for Te Reo Māori.
Any other questions? Just one thing, Jeanette. So you can confirm that because of the gap that's coming up with
absolutely, the weather and the availability of the designers. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, we'll do our best.
The cost of getting this right? No, that's something that Lars will do for us. When he goes round, he might look at some of those and say, no, that's not going to work. But he will look at doing the design. He'll be going back to Jared and to Nadia, and we'll involve them. And then Lars will work out the meterage that we're going to need in terms of timber and also the stainless steel. And then we'll have to do fundraising to be able to get that. And then Waikeria have offered to make the constructions and also to help with installation. Yeah. We've also got a couple of locals who have said that they would help with installation as well.
Thank you, Jeanette and Galen. Thank you for hanging in there. You've been a long process on this one, hasn't it? It's been disturbed by COVID and various other board meetings that you've attended to. So thank you. Thank you. Members, we'll just move back to the agenda. There will be a late items addition, and then will be conflict of interest. Okay. So I'd just like to advise, we all heard the reasons why the Kāwhia Fitness Trail want to move this onto the late item. And I move then that the Kāwhia Community Board accept the late item Kāwhia Fitness Trail project due to the time constraint requirement confirmation of funding to enable the project to commence, and to confirm the order of the meeting as indicated in the agenda when the late item Kāwhia Fitness Trail to be heard before item 10. So I'm asking you to consider the extra money that will be given them, and to the alteration to the agenda. We're removing this item to item 10. I'll move that. Seconder. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, members. Declaration of conflicts of interest. I'll invite members to declare any conflicts of interest.
Yes, the fitness trail group.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Inga. We will receive the declaration of conflict of interest for board member Hugh for the late items Kāwhia Fitness Trail project, and direct that conflict to be recorded in the council's conflict of interest register. Well done. Seconder? Yeah, thank you, David. The late item then. You've heard the rationale behind the item addition, and you're all happy with the comments that the presenters have presented to you? All right. I move then that the Kāwhia Community Board approve the amount of $675, which is including GST, but it's including or excluding on here, for the Kāwhia Community Trial Project to be funded from the Kāwhia Community Board Grants Fund, which still has a reasonably healthy balance, as I've indicated to you. I'll move that. Is there a seconder? Okay. Board Member Walsh will second that. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you, members. Janet, okay, the money's yours. Thank you. And thank you for putting some effort into making Kāwhia a better place. Move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. All members read the minutes? I'm assuming. Any matters arising in those minutes?
Not,
Sorry.
through you, Mr. Chair, not matters arising, but just a spelling mistake. I bring that up here.
If you want to, but yeah.
Or name, it's not Lynn, Duggan, it's Nin,
Oh, Nin, correct.
N-I-N.
Yeah.
It's on the public forum.
What page?
Page
Oh, I got it. Yeah, page 4. Yeah. Thank you, Board Member Hugh. Why you weren't there? So.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to clarify for the board members that the new part of our agendas where we talk about resolutions to require actions.
Mm-hmm.
We actually do need to pass resolutions if we want them to do something. So just to have them raised as a comment or discussion as part of the overall minutes of a meeting isn't sufficient, I've been told. So if we want something done, we've got to resolve it. Okay, so I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Hugh. Board Member Board Member Jeffries. Board Member Walsh, do you have anything on previous minutes? I've got a quick one, just with the public forum that was held last meeting with regarding the community hall. We had conversations both with the Kāwhia Community Hall Committee and with the Otaronga District Council, and they were very, very positive conversations between both parties. The history behind the maintenance and the kaitiakas of this hall is stunning. For the last 18 years they've been working hard along this. It's been a big burden for them, and I know that they appreciated the fact that someone came along and said, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. We've talked to the Otaronga District Council, and they realise that there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done in the hall, and in terms of how the schedules are laid out, there's going to be a fairly good review taken on the whole thing. So thank you to the members of the public that brought that up. I've got a good background on some of the issues on all parties, but bear in mind that there will be a good schedule of rates come out here. There's good funding for groups that want to use this hall on a regular basis. I've given the committee some ideas on how to coordinate things, because there is a big burden with them opening and closing during the days and things like that. So I've suggested that they get groups together that are keen on using the hall and sort that out there, but then come to us and we can give you some good funding avenues, so that the hall doesn't earn a lot of money to do some work that's needed on it. So that's the big issue that's risen out of this. There's lots of work to be used on this hall, and there's not a lot of money coming in to do that. So it's a big picture thing. So I really appreciate the fact that it's been brought to all our attention, and there is some good positive stuff that's going to come out of it. So thank you members of the public for that. Yeah, anything else out of those? No? I move that those...
Oh, sorry. Through you, Mr Chair. Did everybody hear what was said? No. Yeah, I'm just thinking... Yeah. I'm just thinking that I can just hear you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just thinking, can everybody else hear you? No. So we may just need to speak up louder.
Used to have it.
I thought we were going to get
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an important topic because it's about the hall, and this was a lot of discussion at our last meeting. So I think it's really important that everybody can hear.
I'm sorry. Did anyone... Basically, we've had a good conversation between both the Hall Committee and Oklahoma District Council, and there's lots of areas that need to be worked on, including the future of the hall, the condition of the hall, the users of the hall, and the rates that are charged for the hall and the booking system, everything. Everything's going to have a good look at it. When I talked to Kelly Isherwood about the hall, and I said, just look at this hall, and do you think that in 50 years' time it will be fit for purpose? So what you've raised is the bigger picture thing on this, you know. We've got the Kāwhia Aotea concept plan coming up, and this is an opportunity for all groups to get together and to formulate some plans around this whole hall. The situation around the hall is recognised by all parties, and they will get together and they will form a plan that not only involves the short-term future of the hall, but the long-term future of the hall. Okay? I have some opinions about the charging of the hall, but I'll leave that to the... You need to be aware that the Kāwhia Community Hall Committee is answerable to Oklahoma District Council. Okay? So they do all their kōrero through Oklahoma District Council. Your concerns were brought to the Kāwhia, and it's concerns from both parties. There's a lot of work put into looking after this hall. Okay? There's a lot of effort put in by the hall committee on keeping this place running. So we've got a good future here, and it's all brought around between community discussions, so we'll make it work. So thank you.
Through you, Mr Chair, am I allowed to ask a question here?
I'll allow this one, yes.
Okay. When you met with both parties, was a discussion brought up about holding an AGM?
That's for the council to work out with. Yes, it was.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's gone back to council?
That, yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
All points that were raised were
yes. I just think it's good for everybody to know where everything's there.
Yeah. All points were raised.
Through you, Mr Chair, I think it's important that the public knows that the Hall Committee is completely voluntary.
Yes.
Been given up their time for the last 18 years to run the hall. They've no cost to the ratepayers at all, but it's the right place to have this place functional and
it certainly has brought about a bigger picture thing, you know. Sorry, we can't allow questions from the floor. My apologies.
Is there no room to respond?
No, sorry, my apologies. So the council, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
Through you, Mr Chair, just for clarification for myself, if there's response from the floor, how can they
Unfortunately,
respond?
standard rules don't allow it.
Okay.
They're not my rules.
Okay. Kia ora.
It's not my figure.
I'm not going to talk about the board in terms of that question.
No, I'm sorry, Nin. I'm sorry, Nin, we can't allow questions from the floor. Okay. We allow public forum. I know it's not my standing order. Okay? So I'll move that those... None.
Through the Deputy Executive.
So the standing rules for public meetings under which this committee sits do not allow comments from the floor. So we have a section at the start of the meeting which you used at the last meeting. We're now into the formal meeting. We don't allow conversations between the floor and the committee. If you have concerns, you can go after the meeting and address members of the committee, and they can feed your discussion back to the council.
Thanks. And can I reiterate that, Nim? We also getting here at 3:30 for every meeting as well, so that we can have informal discussions prior to the meeting. I find that a lot gets achieved.
It's just that I did present something at the last meeting. I can follow that up myself.
Yeah, thank you. I'll move that the minutes be accepted.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against?
I haven't
Thank you.
voted because I wasn't present.
No,
so-
it's okay. Thank you. Moving on. We now move on, board members now move on to item 10, which is a presentation from the manager of the governance, and it's the Kāwhia Community Board Code of Conduct. You've all read the report, board members? Any questions? No questions?
I just had two, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me? Yes. Just a couple of queries, really. Clause 2, which talks about the scope, and it talks about the code can only be amended or substituted by a replacement code by a vote of at least 75% of members present. And I'm saying, why do we need 75%? Why can we not just have a majority of members? Question 1.
Can I get Mr. Lowe to answer that one?
Through you, Mr. Chair, do you want me to reply to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't be definitive, but I would say it's got its basis in the Westminster system, where matters of constitutional governance are put in place, and the idea is that where possible everyone's in agreement with them, so that the next meeting they aren't turned over. For example, with the membership of this committee, if you had a simple majority, you could convene the meeting with a quorum of 3. 2 people could make a change to the code. Then the next meeting, the other 3 people could then decide that that change wasn't satisfactory, and you would flip it on its head. And whereas I think if the matter had been resolved with a total majority or a large majority, that's then set in place for the rest of the term of that committee.
I don't know whether I necessarily agree with that, to be honest, but
I'm just saying, I haven't got an opinion, I'm just saying the numbers and probably the rationale behind it being in the draft code of conduct.
yeah.
And the second one, board member?
Well, the second one really was just
With the name in.
yeah, clause 10, it talks about the board taking all reasonable steps to acquire the required skills and knowledge to effectively fulfil their declaration of office, which is the oath that we all take, and contribute to the good governance. And then it reads of the city, district or region, and I'm just suggesting that we have a word change there, and it should read to the good governance of the Kāwhia and Aotea communities and the Oklahoma district. Good stop.
I'll look at that, yeah. I've talked to the government about that.
Yep. I'll move that amendment, if that's appropriate to do so.
I'll second that.
Second it. Members have heard the motion and the approval. All in favour? All those against? Carried.
Thank you.
There are no decision reports.
And sorry, Mr. Chairman, just one more thing, if I might. Clause 7 talks about conflicts of interest. Can I just encourage all the board members to have a read of the Local Authorities Members Interest Act, which I'm sure Kāwhia can circulate if you haven't got a copy. We had a workshop on chairing meetings this week in Oklahoma, and it was a joint workshop held with Waipa District Council, and Jeff, as our chairman, was present, and I took part in that meeting as well. They talked about conflicts of interest, and there's a lot of grey areas around what a conflict of interest is. And it seems that if there is a pecuniary interest involved, which means that if a member is likely to benefit financially from a decision that's made, then obviously there is a conflict there. But the question was raised is, in a small community like ours, and if a board member is involved with a number of community organisations or groups or clubs in the community, and likewise their partner or spouse, likewise, also involved, if you're going to declare an interest, a conflict of interest every time something comes up, nothing's ever going to happen. So I think probably if there's any doubt about whether you have a conflict, I think you need to refer it back to our Chief Executive to get a ruling on that, and that ruling would be then conveyed to our Chairman. So there is some grey areas around it. Okay? I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you, Board Member. Jeffrey?
Thank you.
Moving on to other business, starting to my right this time. Do you have any other
Can
business?
I go last? My mind is just thinking.
I will take you.
Thank you.
Start to my left. Councillor, Board Member Jeffries. Councillor Jeffries. Any other business?
Are we on to?
Yes.
We are. It's just an update on a few things, Mr. Chairman. As councillor, I was with a council group that attended or went to a visit to the Waikeria prison, not as an inmate, but certainly just to have a look at the new construction out there, and absolutely blown away with the scale of that construction out there. We walked 4 kilometres inside the main fence, and we didn't see it all. It's huge, and had a budget of something like 700 and something million. It's now well over $1 billion, and the costs are still climbing on that as well. But very worthwhile, and it was very, very interesting visit. On the 10th,
Councillor,
yeah, sure.
when do they anticipate opening that?
What's that?
When do they anticipate opening?
Well, not for about another 2 years, I don't think. Yeah. On the 10th of February, I attended a Te Taio o Kāwhia Moana meeting. It's a committee or a group that's been set up to look at alternative access around from the boat ramp around to Ocean Beach, and to look at a number of other environmental issues as well. Just to let you know that there has been a committee formed, and the alternative access and the issue of community consultation was raised again. So there's still quite a lot of work to go on there before anything happens, but that group is still beavering away doing that. On the 16th of February, I had a meeting with the Department of Internal Affairs, and that was to do with the proposed 3 waters and Council's net debt calculation. Just to explain to members of the public, on the 30th of June 24 is the last day at this stage that councils will control their own water supplies, and on the 1st of July everything transfers across to these new water service entities. There's 22 councils in our entity, which is pretty much the centre of the North Island. And part of the deal was that any debt that council had at that date that related to water, wastewater or stormwater would also be taken over by the entity. So we needed to make sure that we were pretty accurate with the calculation of our debt, because we get that physically paid back to us in cash. So that was quite an important meeting. So that calculation is still to be agreed. Still got work to happen there. On the 21st of February we had our council meeting, and that was followed by a workshop on the Aotea seawall, and I'll leave that to our chairman perhaps to talk about when that comes up. And I've already talked about the joint workshop with the Waipa people on chairpersons chairing the meetings. Just in general, yesterday They had the annual club mud run here with the school children. I don't know whether many of you saw that. But I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. John and Sue Burton and the brigade and ambulance personnel, Kāwhia School in particular, the children who took place, and also our acting police constable, Lance, who actually stripped down and ran with the kids and cycled with the kids and swam with the kids, and they absolutely loved it, and it was great to see. At the last council meeting, the dropouts and the slips on State Highway 31 were raised, and alternative routes were discussed. At this stage, Okapata Road is a possible alternative route, but if Okapata goes out, it could be a bit dicky. We may have to come in from Raglan or through the Tianga side of things, so we're hoping that State Highway stays no worse than what it is. I'd like to record a thanks to Waipa Networks for the proactive work that they did in providing Kāwhia with 2 huge generators over that Cyclone Gabriel period. They did that without any asking or prompting from here. It was done all by Sean Horgan, who's the CEO, and I'd just like to acknowledge him and Waipa Networks and thank them for their proactive actions there, but also to thank Callum Stewart and Kathy Shaw from Waipa District Council, who did a lot of behind the scenes work in terms of civil defence and working on our emergency response plan. It did highlight the fact that during emergencies we do have some issues here with communications. No power means no landlines, and we rely on mobiles, but they're only effective as long as Spark or Vodafone are operating, which isn't always the case. And of course, if mobiles are able to be charged. So we are talking about the possibility of getting someone out here with a satellite phone in future in case we have to go through that sort of emergency again. I just wanted to mention too, Mr. Chairman, my concern about burnouts that are happening on Kāwhia streets. They're happening, seem to be happening on a fairly regular basis. I think the community need to let the police know when these events take place, if they can, the location and the time, etc. Otherwise, this antisocial behaviour is just going to continue because these people think they're getting away with it. So if you become aware of anything, please let the police know. You can ring them on the anonymous line if you want to do it that way, which is fine. But I wanted to move, Mr. Chairman, if it's appropriate, that we send a letter of concern to Sergeant Walker at the Otahonga Police, just raising the community board's concerns about there seems to be a lack of action or lack of control over these sorts of actions happening in the streets, and I understand that AOT has had its own issues as well with something similar. I think it would be appropriate to raise it formally with them. So I'll move in that direction.
Yeah. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Board members, you've heard the motion that Kāwhia Community Board sends a letter to the local police expressing our concerns about the activities around the streets, which is happening in Aotea now as well. So as they're keeping an eye on you over here, they're moving them over to Aotea. So we have the motion. We have all those in favour? All those against?
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion's passed.
And just one other resolution, if I might. It was a comment that was made by myself in the last minutes. As you're coming into town, the Bahutakawas, the ivy and the blackberry are getting away along there. In fact, some of the trees are starting to get killed by the ivy, I think. I'd like to resolve or move that that staff be asked to have a look at what they can do to remedy that problem as you come into town.
Through you, Mr. Chair, are we talking about land that actually council has control over, or are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about the Bahutakawas, so
the Bahutakawas along the.
Yeah.
Is it his council land?
Yeah, well, it's just a service request to get them gardening onto it.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
this
a
is,
motion.
this is the grey area that I was raising before, Andrew, because if it's in the minutes from a previous meeting, even if it's only a comment from whoever,
Yeah.
is that not going to be picked up by the staff, or do we actually have to formally resolve to get some action done, or do we have to formally put in a service request? So I think we need to clarify that.
Yeah, but I suppose a resolution to the board then requires which is the most cost-effective way of managing these issues. You know,
I would say
a service request.
that a service request would move faster. Rather than, I can understand the concerns of it, but certainly what I would like the board members to note that if you see something that can be fixed, a service request is the way to get it in there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sure, if the service request hasn't been actioned.
And then if the service request hasn't been actioned, okay, you bring the service request number here and then we'll take it. Okay.
I'll do it that way. But I'll certainly just raise that point too for the benefit of the members of the public, that if you have any issues, you too have the right to make a service request through the council. So it doesn't have to come through us. You can go direct.
Yeah. So just to clarify, you're withdrawing your motion?
I'll withdraw that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Board Member Walsh, how was the trout fishing?
Great. Okay, just through you, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to address our CEO anyway, and just wonder what sort of follow-up we had with our regards to the health and safety issues raised about the walk with the loading. What was the response? Did we get a response back from the company or anything? Or
I'm not aware that we got a response back from the company.
But you did notify them.
Yeah, we'll talk to you.
Okay, I just wondering, because that's a big health and safety issue, as I said before, and we're responsible for that. Any incidents on the walk?
I'm sure that we have a duty of care to what happens on our walk.
Okay. And another one I was brought up at our last meeting too, and sort of things, what their opinion on that is the bikes on the fence at Oprah. They're looking tatty and they're rusted and falling off, and there's no weed spraying anymore with the new people. Do we need to do so, or is that Wakatoa?
That would be an NZTA, Wakatoa.
When it was brought up to Phil at the time, he just said, oh, well, we'll put them on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
But okay, he's not there either.
The board member chair, I can see that it would be a Wakatoa thing. Yeah, I don't know where to take it from there. It wouldn't be something that the council would put in there. Yeah, send them a letter off the Wakatoa Kāwhia.
Okay, can I move for a resolution for us to send a letter to Wakatoa to us?
I'll take advice. Is that something we can do?
I suppose we can do it. Yes.
Yeah. I suppose you.
It's starting to look terrible.
Yeah. Have we talked to the other members of the committee? Is there a general feeling that it's looking untidy, or is it just?
Well, I know, you just look at it when you drive past.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Well.
Some of the frames, bits are falling off some of the frames, the weeds are higher than the bikes.
I'll tell you what, I'll take some advice on that. Walsh, and I'll definitely get back to you.
Right.
Okay? I'll find out what avenue we can actually use to do something about that.
Okay, I asked at our last meeting too if we could have a report on with the update on the septic tank testing that they conducted last year. Is that available?
Council have got hold of it to me. It's coming next month.
Next month, yeah. Okay, thank you. And just one more I'd like to bring up and open for discussion with us is more seats in the park. Also for more seats in the park. People ask me all the time, we need more seats, we get, things on.
Yeah, that's a request that's come through to me as well, and we've got a huge opportunity. I'll leave it to my other business, but we've got a huge opportunity coming up with the Kāwhia concept plan. A huge opportunity. Okay, so I'll address that in a minute.
Okay, that was all for me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Board Member Ferry.
Okay, tēnā tātou. First of all, I'd just like to mention on the 11th and 12th of February, we had the Tainui Games out at Hopohopu. Now, there was a great representation from Kāwhia Moana Marae, and also our local whānau from Kāwhia Moana that came along and supported the kaupapa. Also, I would like to acknowledge Nin and the Extreme Hip Hop that came along both days to participate and take some classes, and also Kelly Isherwood with her caravan that came along and participated at the Tainui Games. The Tainui Games, we had over 20,000 people come, and these are tribal whānau, and a big part of our tribal whānau was from here in Kāwhia Moana, also across the harbour, which was great. So this is it's a great event where we can, at these times, that it's a hiki wairua to pick our spirits up, especially with how things are and how they have been. So yeah, I just want to say that it was a great event, and I really enjoyed overseeing the whole event, and just want to thank our local marae and our local whānau that came along to tautoko to support. Next one is that following that, we have the Pokai rounds, the Rona, which starts next week. So I'll be going along to a couple of the Pokai, and that's another big iwi event that we have here in Kāwhia Moana and also across the harbour. I would also like to mention that we will be starting back our Kickback Kāwhia show. This is another local Kāwhia radio show that we have on Friday evenings from 6 to 8 on Tainui Live, that Lloyd and I are on air, and that's 95.4 FM, and that's another great way to promote Kāwhia. So the show is called Kickback Kāwhia, and this is going into about its third year. So we have a following of listeners out there, and just giving out local news and local events that we have here in Kāwhia. I would also just like to bring up about the car races. Now, I've been notified by where I live by an elderly couple who are actually quite scared to get in touch with the police in case something happens to them. So I think that's something that we just need to be aware of, is the safety of our local whānau, especially our kaumātua, that they are vulnerable. And even though we're asking people to get in touch with the police, to phone, but also to remember that a lot of our elderly, they are very vulnerable, and they do get scared to do that in fear of something happening to them. So I just want to bring that up to put that on the table as well.
Can I just respond to that? There is an anonymous line that they can ring, no names mentioned.
Crime Stoppers.
It's Crime Stoppers. Yeah, so if they're concerned about that, which is appalling anyway,
yeah,
you shouldn't have to feel threatened in your own community like that. But there is a way that they can get around it without putting themselves at risk. Yeah.
Kia ora for that, Kit. Also, a couple of years ago, I did put down on the table that I would like to start the kōrero in the process of storyboards, telling our narrative here of mana whenua stories, of our narratives. I would like to put a resolution on the floor, now that I know, is that I can, I'm happy to start the process of taking that and starting the conversation with our mana whenua, and then it's the start of the process to get to where the bigger picture. So that's, can I do that through you, Mr. Chair?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
I'll need to pass that now. Move on now.
Pardon?
I'll have to pass that now. Okay.
Pass it,
Yeah.
and then
Board members, you've heard the motion?
Yep.
All those in favour, signal. All those against? Carried.
kia ora for that, and I really appreciate the support from the board. So, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. And also, at the last hui, I did bring up about sending a card or a little gift to Ken Briggs. I don't know where Ken is at the moment, but it'll just be nice for us to send something from the council or the board, just to say thank you for his time that he gave for his term here on the board. I know that Ken did resign due to illness, so I'm hoping that he is well, and just to show a bit of appreciation.
Can I respond to that, Mr. Chair? Ken came out last week. He sort of got a day off because he's got to have an IV drip every day, which has to be administered by a professional, of course. So he gets limited time. He managed to come out here and he came into the park, not that he was drinking it, but just to catch up with a few people. His health has deteriorated, but he's in a, I'm not sure he's in Martinique or in Hamilton, I'm sorry, but he is in a home, but he's still got a bit of go, he's got a bit of life left in him, he's not over, he's just slowed down.
Well, I'll move then that the Kāwhia Community Board uses some of its community funds to send them appropriate.
Lovely, thank you, that'd be lovely.
Do I have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll see you.
And I can get the contact details.
Beautiful, that's
Board
lovely.
members, you've heard the motion, are you all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
But nō reira tēnā tātou, that's me.
Busy. Board member Richard.
The general business, but I've missed the boat a wee bit because I wanted some clarification on something that you raised, Kit, and that was well, I'm concerned that people in the area should feel threatened if they're going to make a complaint about boy races. That concerns me greatly, and I know there's that thing. But you mentioned something about a letter to the Otahonga Police. Were you suggesting that we are complaining about our police that we have here? Is that what? No. I just wanted to get that clear in my mind because it's a very difficult task being a country policeman.
Oh, absolutely. No, it was just to raise, formally raise the board's concern about the activities that are going on. Yeah.
That's I just.
So it couldn't be not having a crack at the police. No.
Yeah. I've got no other general business.
Well done. I do have some quick ones. Just with the response for the community advisory group for the Kāwhia Aotea community plan, great response from Kāwhia, and we've got a good list of names to go through. We're oversubscribed, which is a healthy situation to be, and we're well oversubscribed from Aotea too, so just well done to Kāwhia and Aotea for getting them behind that project plan. It is the future of Kāwhia, and I've explained to a few of the board members here, we have a real chance to get this right and to make Kāwhia and Aotea unique areas around this region. There's a lot of history behind these two harbours, and it would be good if we can all get together and make sure we get it right. Okay? And on, as I mentioned before, and then with funding, the Otahonga District Council has started up the next tranche of funding, so that for this month of March, there's community grants for non-profit organisations that might be using the halls and things like this. There's grants for the creative community, and there's also grants for the Rural Travel Fund. So if you've got your sports teams in the rural areas and they need to travel somewhere, there's funds available for those. And also for those that are looking to access community funds for whatever you're doing around this region, Otahonga District Council is putting on a funding expo next April, and that will give you even more contacts to get going for your funding rounds. Okay? You can go online, and all the forms are on there. And if you struggle with those forms, you can get help through the Otahonga Library, or just ring the manager of community development and wellbeing, and you can contact her at Otahonga District Council. Aotea Seawall, the resource consent expires for that in May this year. Otahonga District Council is just going through the engineering process and the consultation, no consultation process, my apology for that, just the engineering process to get it renewed for the next 20 years, so that's just part of the procedure. The Aotea Seawall has protected the village quite well for the last 20 years, and we're hoping like that will protect us for the next 20 years. That's all from me. Resolutions register. The staff, now on the I'll move that the Kāwhia Community Board receive the staff updates in the resolution register. Have you all read the resolution register at the back page of your agenda? Yep. You have? You all comfortable with that? The meeting with the wharf is going to be lumped into the Kāwhia concept plan. Okay? I'll move that the resolution register be updated. No, is that all got it right? Oh, I'll receive the updates. No movement. Don't have to move nothing. Don't have to second it. Oh, I need a second. Second it, council. Board Member Walsh. You've heard the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Carried. Thank you. Well, that was inefficient. Board Member Hinga, can I call on you for the closing karakia?
O tēnā tātou, e tino pai tō tātou hui i te ahengi nei, e miha te kia koutou katoa i hara mai ki te whakarongo, ki tā mātou kōrero, nō reira, ka huri au ki a tātou te koari, he mihi nui ki a tātou, he pai tēnei hui, he pai nā kōrero hoki. Tēnei wā ka ino i tātou. Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mākina kina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai, e hi ake ana te atakura, tihei mauri ora. Nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. Kia ora.
Thank you. And with that, I'd like to thank the members of the public that have appeared today. Very good presentations, all members of the public. My apologies for standing orders, that's our tikanga. But we're welcome both prior to the meeting and after the meeting for a quick catch up. Or my numbers in the agendas, I am so open and available for anyone that wants to discuss any of that. Okay? So with that, thank you for my co-pilots here. Thank you to Richard, Board Member Richard, for his attendance, and congratulations on your resolution. And I close the meeting at 4:50. Ever do.